He opened his refrigerator and said, "Take anything you want." But the little girl didn't reach for the fresh fruit. She didn't touch the expensive desserts. She didn't even look at the meals worth hundreds of dollars. She just lowered her eyes and quietly said, "Do you have any leftovers?" That one sentence broke something inside a man who thought he had everything. Because in that moment, a millionaire realized he had been living poorer than a hungry child. If stories about love, sacrifice, and second chances mean something to you, consider subscribing. Because this one might stay with you for a long time. The rain fell hard that night in Manhattan. Cold, steady, unforgiving rain that washed over the city's glowing lights and turned the streets into rivers of reflections. Inside Bella Vista, one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, everything was warm, polished, and perfect. Alexander Sterling sat in his usual corner. 35 years old. Self-made millionaire. CEO of Sterling Industries. A man who had turned ambition into power, and power into a billion-dollar empire. He adjusted his suit, glanced at his watch, and forced a polite smile as another deal wrapped up at the table. Everyone around him laughed. Everyone shook hands. Everyone talked about money. But Alex felt nothing. No joy. No excitement. Just a quiet emptiness that had been growing for years. "Mr. Sterling, your car is ready," his assistant said softly. Alex nodded, standing up, exchanging final pleasantries with men who admired his success but knew nothing about his life. Outside, the cold hit him immediately. The rain soaked through his expensive coat within seconds, but he didn't rush. For once, he didn't want comfort. He wanted to feel something real. And then he saw her. A small figure, barely visible in the shadows near the restaurant wall. A little girl. No umbrella. No protection. Just standing there in the rain. Her clothes were thin, worn, not made for weather like this. Her hair clung to her face, dripping water, but she didn't seem to care. She was staring through the glass window. Not at the people. At the food. Alex froze. There was something about the way she looked at it. Not like a child dreaming of sweets, but like someone who understood hunger in a way no child ever should. He had seen ambition in boardrooms. Desperation in negotiations. But this was different. This was survival. "Sir?" his driver called out. But Alex wasn't listening anymore. He was already walking toward her. His shoes splashed through puddles, his suit soaked through, but none of it mattered. Not anymore. "Hey there," he said softly, lowering himself to her level. The girl flinched slightly, like she expected to be chased away. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, her voice small and shaking. "I wasn't touching anything. I was just looking." That hit him harder than anything else. A child, apologizing for just looking at food. "You're not in trouble," Alex said gently. "I promise." She hesitated. Her eyes were big, blue, and tired in a way that didn't belong on a 7-year-old's face. "Are you here with someone?" he asked. She shook her head. "My mama's at home. She's sick." The words came out quietly, like she had said them many times before. "I just wanted to see the food," she added, glancing back at the window. "It looks warm." Alex swallowed hard. Warm. That's what she saw. Not luxury. Not status. Not wealth. Just warmth. "Are you hungry?" he asked. She nodded, then quickly added, "But I don't have money. I wasn't asking for anything." That was it. That was the moment something shifted inside him. Because for the first time in years, Alex Sterling didn't think about profit, or time, or schedules. He just thought about her. "Come with me," he said. "Let's get you something to eat." Her eyes widened. "Really? Really? But—" "I'm dirty," she said, looking down at herself. They won't let me in. Alex smiled softly. Then we won't go in. He paused for a second, then said something that would change both of their lives. We're going to my home. The ride through Manhattan was quiet. The little girl sat in the back of the car, her hands folded tightly in her lap, looking around like she didn't belong in something so expensive. What's your name? Alex asked. Mia, she said softly. Mia Patterson. The name hit him hard. Patterson. He didn't react, but something inside him stirred. A memory. A face. A past he hadn't allowed himself to revisit in years. But he pushed it aside. Not now. Right now, she was just a hungry child. Nothing else mattered. When they arrived at his penthouse, Mia stepped inside slowly, carefully, like she was afraid to touch anything. The lights, the space, the view, everything overwhelmed her. But Alex didn't focus on that. He walked straight to the kitchen, opened the refrigerator, and turned to her. Take anything you want, he said. Mia stepped closer. She looked inside. Rows of fresh food. Expensive ingredients. More than enough to feed a family for weeks. She stared at it for a long time. Her fingers tightened slightly against the edge of the door. And then she spoke. Do you have any leftovers? Alex blinked. For a moment, he didn't understand what he had just heard. Leftovers, he repeated. Mia nodded, not looking at him. Just whatever you don't want any more, she said quietly. That's what Mama says. We only take leftovers so we don't waste. And right there, standing in front of a refrigerator worth more than most people's rent, Alex Sterling felt his world begin to break. Because this little girl didn't know how to ask for more. And for the first time in years, he didn't know what to say next. Alex slowly closed the refrigerator door, then opened it again, as if somehow the answer might change. Leftovers. Out of everything in front of her. That's what she chose. He turned back toward Mia, his voice softer now, almost careful. Sweetheart, everything in here is fresh. Nothing here is leftover. Mia nodded gently, like she already expected that answer. That's okay, she said quickly. I can wait. Or maybe just something small. I don't need much. She wasn't complaining. She wasn't asking again. She was adjusting, lowering her needs, like she had done it 100 times before. And that broke him more than anything else. Alex walked back toward her and slowly crouched down so their eyes met again. Mia, he said quietly, in this house, you don't have to ask for leftovers. She looked confused. You don't? No, he said, shaking his head. In this house, you get the best, not what's left behind. She hesitated, her small fingers gripping the edge of his shirt. But Mama says. I know what your mama says, Alex interrupted gently. And she's right, in her world. He paused, choosing his words carefully. But tonight, you're in mine. Mia studied his face, like she was trying to decide if this was real, or just something that would disappear if she believed in it too much. Are you sure? She whispered. I've never been more sure about anything. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Alex stood up, took a deep breath, and turned back to the kitchen. All right, he said, rolling up his sleeves slightly. Let's do this properly. Mia blinked. What are we doing? We're making dinner, he said. Not leftovers. Real dinner. A small spark lit up in her eyes. You cook? He let out a quiet laugh. Not very well, he admitted. But tonight, I'm going to try. That made her smile. Just a little. And that little smile felt like something he hadn't earned, but was grateful for anyway. He started pulling things out of the fridge. bread, cheese, butter, a can of tomato soup. Simple things. Not five-star restaurant meals. Not luxury. Just comfort. Have you ever had grilled cheese? He asked. Mia nodded. Mama makes it sometimes, when she feels better. Then we'll make it just like that, Alex said. He placed a pan on the stove, a little unsure of himself, but determined. Mia climbed onto one of the stools by the kitchen island, watching him closely. Not like a kid watching a show, but like someone watching something important. Do you live here alone? She asked after a moment. Alex paused slightly. Yeah, he said. I do. Don't you get lonely? The question was simple, but it landed heavy. Alex didn't answer right away. He focused on buttering the bread, his movements slower now. Sometimes, he admitted. Mia nodded, like she understood that feeling better than she should. Mama says being alone is worse when you have a lot, but no one to share it with. Alex glanced at her. There it was again. Wisdom, in a child's voice. Your mama sounds like a very smart woman, he said quietly. She is, Mia replied, her voice filled with pride. She just gets tired a lot. The pan began to sizzle as he placed the sandwich down. A simple sound. But in that moment, it felt like the beginning of something. So what does your mama do? Alex asked. She used to work on computers, Mia said. She still does sometimes, when she's not too sick. Alex's hands slowed. What kind of sick? He asked carefully. Mia shrugged a little. The tired kind, she said. Sometimes she can't get out of bed. But she says it's okay. She says we're strong. Alex swallowed. Strong. That word again. Used by people who had no other choice. He flipped the sandwich, watching the golden crust form slowly. And you help her? He asked. Mia nodded. I make tea sometimes. And I read to her. And I don't ask for too much food so she doesn't worry. That was it. That was the moment something inside Alex cracked open completely. Because this little girl wasn't just hungry. She was sacrificing. Quietly. Daily. Without anyone seeing it. The grilled cheese was ready. He placed it on a plate, cut it carefully into triangles, then poured the soup into a bowl. He set it in front of her. Go ahead, he said softly. Mia looked at it like it was something sacred. She picked up a piece, took a small bite, and then froze. Her eyes closed. Just for a second. But in that second, Alex saw something he would never forget. Relief. Pure, quiet relief. This is really good, she said softly. Alex didn't speak. He just watched. Watched her take another bite, then another. Slowly at first. Then a little faster. Like her body was reminding her what hunger felt like, and finally letting go of it. Halfway through, she stopped. Carefully, she set the sandwich down. You don't like it? Alex asked quickly. I do, she said. Then why did you stop? Mia hesitated. Then she reached for a napkin, and gently wrapped the other half of the sandwich. For Mama, she said simply. Alex stared at her. She hasn't eaten much today, Mia added quietly. She'll like this. And just like that, the richest man in the room felt like the poorest, because everything he had, every dollar, every success, every achievement, suddenly felt small, compared to a little girl, saving half her meal, for someone she loved. Alex turned away for a moment, his jaw tightening. He needed a second, just a second, to breathe. When he turned back, Mia was looking at him again. Curious. Careful. Like she was starting to wonder something. Alex, she said softly. Yeah. Can I ask you something? He nodded. Anything. She tilted her head slightly, those same blue eyes studying him closely. And then she asked the one question that made his heart stop. Why do you feel familiar? Alex didn't answer right away. The question hung in the air, soft, innocent, but heavy with something he couldn't ignore anymore. Familiar. He looked at her again, really looked this time. The curve of her face, the way her eyes held both strength and sadness, the way she spoke, careful and kind, like she had learned not to ask for too much from the world. And suddenly, it wasn't just a feeling. It was a memory. A face from years ago. A voice he had buried deep. Rachel. His chest tightened. Mia, he said slowly, trying to keep his voice steady. Why do you think that? She shrugged lightly, swinging her legs under the stool. I don't know, she said. You just do. Like I've seen you before. Alex swallowed. That's probably just because I'm nice, he said with a soft smile, trying to brush it off. Mia didn't smile back. She kept looking at him, studying him, like she wasn't fully convinced. You remind me of someone, she added quietly. The words hit him deeper than she could possibly understand. Who? He asked. My mama, she said. Everything inside him went still. For a second, the room felt too quiet, too small. Your mama? He repeated. Mia nodded. You have the same eyes sometimes, when you look sad. Alex turned slightly, resting his hands on the counter behind him. Sad. He hadn't thought about that word in a long time. Not really. Because sadness was something he had learned to ignore, to bury under work, success, noise. But somehow, this little girl saw it, without him saying a word. What's your mama's name? He asked, his voice lower now. Mia hesitated, not out of fear, but like she was deciding if it was okay to share. Rachel, she said. And just like that, the past came crashing back. Not slowly, not gently, all at once. Rachel. The name echoed in his mind like something unfinished, something that had never truly left him. He gripped the edge of the counter. Not enough for Mia to notice, but enough to steady himself. Rachel. It couldn't be. It shouldn't be. And yet, everything inside him was starting to connect. The timeline. The age. The eyes. The feeling he couldn't explain. Mia, he said carefully, turning back to her. What's your last name again? Patterson, she answered. His breath caught. Patterson. Rachel's last name. He closed his eyes for just a second. 8 years. 8 years of silence, of not knowing, of moving forward without looking back. And now it all stood in front of him. Small. Quiet. Holding half a sandwich wrapped in a napkin for her mother. He opened his eyes again, his voice softer now. Does your mama ever talk about your dad? Mia looked down at her hands. A little, she said. What does she say? She says he's a good man, Mia replied. He didn't know about me. Alex felt something twist inside his chest. Didn't know. The words hit harder than anything else. Because if what he was thinking, if even a part of it was true, then he hadn't just missed out on something. He had missed everything. Do you ever wish you knew him? Alex asked quietly. Mia didn't answer right away. She looked at the wrapped half of her sandwich, then back at him. Sometimes, she said. Her voice wasn't sad, just honest. Mostly when I see other kids with their dads, she added. Like when they pick them up from school or carry them on their shoulders. She smiled a little. But it's okay. Mama says we're enough for each other. Alex felt his throat tighten. Enough. That word again. Spoken like a promise, but carrying the weight of something missing. You are enough, he said softly. More than enough. Mia nodded. But then she tilted her head again. Can I ask you something else? Yeah, he said. Why did you help me? The question was simple, but real. No hesitation. No filters. Just truth. Alex leaned back slightly, thinking for a moment. I don't know, he admitted. Mia blinked. You don't know? He shook his head. I saw you standing in the rain, and something didn't feel right, he said slowly. Like, I wasn't supposed to walk away. Mia smiled faintly. Maybe you were supposed to find me. The words were soft, but they landed deep. Because somehow, that's exactly what it felt like. Not random. Not coincidence. Something else. Something bigger. Alex exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. Mia, where do you live? She told him. An address in Queens. Not far, but a completely different world from where they were sitting now. And your mama, she's alone there? Mia nodded. She doesn't go out much anymore, she said. So I do things sometimes. Alex frowned slightly. What kind of things? Small things, she said quickly. Like going to the store, or getting medicine, or just looking. Looking. That word again. Looking at food. Looking at life. From the outside. His jaw tightened. A child, taking care of things she shouldn't have to. A mother, too sick to leave the house. And him, living in a place where food filled an entire wall, untouched. Something inside him shifted again. Stronger this time. Clearer. Mia, he said, his voice steady now. What time do you usually go home? She looked toward the large windows. It's getting late, she admitted. Mama might be worried. That hit him instantly. Of course she would be. A sick mother, waiting, not knowing where her daughter was. We should take you home, Alex said quickly. Mia nodded. But before she stood up, she picked up the napkin again, carefully checking the sandwich inside, making sure it was still safe. Still enough. Alex watched her. And in that moment, he made a decision. One that didn't come from logic, or business, or habit. It came from something deeper. Something he hadn't listened to in years. I'm coming with you, he said. Mia looked up. Why? He held her gaze. Because I think it's time I met your mama. Mia smiled softly. Like that made perfect sense. But Alex's heart was already racing. Because deep down, he wasn't just going to meet her mother. He was about to face a past he had never truly left behind. And something told him, when that door opened, nothing in his life would ever be the same again. The ride felt longer this time. Mia sat quietly beside him, holding the napkin with the sandwich carefully in her lap, like it was something fragile, something important. Alex kept glancing at her, then back at the window. The city lights blurred past, but he wasn't really seeing them. All he could see was the past. Rachel's face. Her voice. The way she used to look at him, like he mattered more than anything else in the world. And then the way she left. No explanation. No goodbye. Just gone. He had told himself 1,000 stories to make sense of it. That she didn't love him enough. That she chose a different life. That she walked away. But now a different truth was knocking at his chest. What if she didn't walk away? What if he pushed her there? Alex. Mia's voice pulled him back. Yeah. Are you okay? He looked at her. She wasn't just asking out of politeness. She was watching him, the same way she had earlier. Like she could see through things he didn't say. "I'm okay," he said softly. She tilted her head slightly. "You look like you're thinking about something sad." He gave a small smile. "Maybe I am." Mia nodded slowly, like she understood. "Mama says when you feel sad, it means something important is trying to come back." Alex didn't respond right away. Important. Yeah, this felt important. Too important. The car slowed as they entered a quieter neighborhood. The buildings were older here, worn down, but still standing strong in their own way. Not broken. Just tired. Kind of like the people inside them. "We're almost there," Mia said softly. Alex nodded. His chest felt tight. Not from fear. From something heavier. Anticipation. The kind that doesn't come with excitement, but with truth. The car came to a stop. Mia looked out the window and pointed. "That's my building." Alex followed her gaze. It was small. Simple, nothing like the world he lived in. But there was something about it. Something real. He stepped out first, then helped Mia down. She held onto his hand this time. Not tightly. Just enough. Like she trusted him. They walked up the stairs together. Each step felt louder than it should. Each second stretched longer. Mia reached the door and knocked in a familiar rhythm. 2 quick taps. Pause. Then another. "Mama," she called softly. "It's me." There was a moment of silence. Then the sound of locks turning. More than one. Careful. Protective. The door opened. And everything stopped. Rachel stood there. Thinner. Paler. Her face tired. Like life had worn her down in ways no one could see from the outside. But her eyes. Those same eyes. The ones he had never forgotten. They locked onto Mia first. Relief flooded her face instantly. "Mia!" She rushed forward, pulling her into her arms. "Where were you?" "I was so worried." Then she saw him. Her voice stopped. Her body froze. Her eyes widened slowly, like she wasn't sure if what she was seeing was real. For a moment, neither of them spoke. 8 years collapsed into one single breath. "Alex," she whispered. Her voice barely made it out, like saying his name again. Hurt. "Hi, Rachel," he said quietly. Everything felt fragile, like one wrong word could break whatever this moment was. Mia looked between them, confused. "You know each other?" she asked. Rachel didn't answer. She couldn't. Her eyes stayed on Alex, searching his face, trying to understand how he was standing there, with her daughter. "How?" she started, but the words didn't finish. "Mama," Mia said gently, holding up the napkin. "I brought you food." Rachel blinked, pulled back slightly. "What?" "Alex made it," Mia said proudly. "He gave me dinner, and I saved this for you." Rachel's eyes flickered down to the napkin, then back to Alex. Something shifted in her expression. Confusion, fear, and something deeper. "Why are you with my daughter?" she asked. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was firm. Protective. Alex didn't step closer. Didn't push. "I found her outside a restaurant," he said calmly. "In the rain." Rachel's face changed instantly. "What?" "She was standing there, alone," he continued, "just looking at the food." Rachel closed her eyes for a second. Like that image hurt more than anything else. "I didn't know," she whispered. Mia tugged on her sleeve. "It's okay, Mama. I wasn't doing anything bad." Rachel dropped to her knees, holding her face gently. "You don't ever go out like that alone again, do you hear me?" "I just wanted to look," Mia said softly. I know, Rachel replied, her voice breaking slightly. But you don't have to do that. Mia nodded, then smiled a little. But it's okay now. Alex helped me. Rachel looked up again. At him. Long. Careful. Like she was trying to understand what kind of man stood in front of her now, compared to the one she once knew. You should go, she said quietly. The words landed heavy. Not angry. Not cold. Just guarded. Alex felt it. The distance. The years between them. But he didn't move. Rachel, he said softly, we need to talk. Her eyes flickered. Not ready. Not willing. But not closed either. There's nothing to talk about, she said. But her voice didn't fully agree with her words. Mia looked between them again, sensing something, even if she didn't understand it. Mama, she said slowly. He's nice. Rachel closed her eyes briefly, then opened them again. And this time, there was something else in them. Not just fear. Not just resistance. But something fragile. Something that had never fully disappeared. Just a few minutes, Alex said. He didn't push harder than that. He didn't need to. Rachel stepped back slightly. Just enough. Not an invitation. But not a rejection either. Fine, she said quietly. And as he stepped inside, Alex knew. This wasn't just a conversation. This was the moment everything they had buried was about to come back to life. The door closed softly behind him. And just like that, Alex Sterling stepped into a world he had never known existed, but somehow felt like he had always belonged to. The apartment was small. Not empty, not broken, just lived in. There were signs of effort everywhere. Clean surfaces, carefully folded blankets, books stacked neatly like someone was trying to keep control over something life kept pulling apart. Mia walked ahead of them, like this was the safest place in the world. Because to her, it was. Mama, can I put this in the kitchen? She asked, holding up the wrapped sandwich. Rachel nodded. Careful, sweetheart. Mia disappeared into the next room. And the second she was gone, the air changed. The softness disappeared. Rachel turned to him. What are you doing here, Alex? Her voice was low, controlled. But under it, there was something shaking. I told you, he said quietly. I found her outside. That doesn't explain why you brought her here, she replied. Or why you're standing in my home like nothing happened. He took a small step forward, then stopped. I didn't know it was her, he said. Rachel didn't react. Not yet. I didn't know she was your daughter, he continued. That made her flinch. Just slightly. But he saw it. And in that moment, he knew. This wasn't just a coincidence. This wasn't just a connection. This was something she had been carrying alone. For years. Mia, he said carefully. She told me her last name. Rachel looked away. Her silence said more than words ever could. Rachel, his voice dropped. Is she mine? The question landed between them like something fragile. Something that could break everything depending on how it was answered. Rachel didn't respond right away. Her hands tightened slightly at her sides. Her breathing slowed. Like she was preparing herself, not to answer him, but to face something she had avoided for years. You don't get to ask that, she said finally. The words were sharp, but her voice wasn't strong enough to carry them fully. I think I do, Alex replied quietly. No, she said, shaking her head. You lost that right a long time ago. His jaw tightened. Then help me understand why. Rachel let out a quiet, bitter breath. Understand? She repeated. You want to understand now? Yes, he said. Because I'm standing here, and nothing makes sense. She looked at him then. Really looked at him. And for a second, something old flickered in her eyes. Not anger. Not pain. Something deeper. Something that used to be love. You remember the last night we were together? She asked. Alex's chest tightened. Yeah, he said. Do you? She pressed. Her voice didn't rise, but it cut deeper. You said you'd be home early, she continued. You said we'd have dinner. Just us. He remembered. The restaurant. The reservation. The promise. I had a meeting, he said quietly. Rachel let out a soft laugh. Of course you did. There was always a meeting, she said. Always something more important. That's not fair. Isn't it? She cut in. Because I sat there for 2 hours, Alex. 2 hours watching people laugh, talk, live, while I waited for someone who never showed up. He didn't respond. Because he remembered that part too. Just not the way she did. I came home, she continued, her voice softer now. And you were already on the phone. He closed his eyes briefly. He could see it now. Clear. Too clear. You didn't even look at me, she said. The words weren't loud, but they carried years of weight. I tried to talk to you, she added. I really did. I didn't know, he said quickly. Rachel, I swear, I didn't. You didn't know because you didn't listen, she said. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. I was pregnant, she said. And just like that, the world shifted. Not slowly. Not gently. Everything changed in one breath. Alex stared at her. Not moving. Not blinking. I found out that day, she continued. I had the test in my hand, ready to tell you. His chest felt tight. Too tight. But you were busy, she said. Too busy to hear me. I would have. What? She cut in again. Made time? Changed your priorities? Stayed. Her eyes filled with something that wasn't just pain. It was truth. I waited, she said quietly. I waited until you finished your call, but by the time you did, I already knew. Knew what? He asked. That I wasn't part of your world anymore. The words settled between them. Cold. Final. I wasn't going to raise a child in a life where she had to compete with everything else, Rachel said. Where she'd be second. She wouldn't have been, Alex said, his voice breaking slightly. Rachel shook her head. You don't know that, she said. Because you never gave me a reason to believe it. Mia's small footsteps echoed faintly from the other room. Both of them heard it. Both of them felt it. The reality of what stood between them. She's 7, Alex said quietly. Rachel didn't answer. She's been mine for 7 years, he continued, his voice lower now. And I didn't even know. Rachel's eyes softened for a second. Just a second. She's been ours, she corrected gently. The word hit differently. Ours. Not his. Not hers. Something shared. Something broken. Something still there. I raised her the only way I knew how, Rachel said. With what I had. Alex looked around the apartment. At the worn edges. At the quiet effort. At the love, hidden in small things. And she's incredible, he said softly. Rachel's eyes flickered. Pride. Instant. She is, she whispered. There was a pause. A long one. Filled with everything they hadn't said yet. Then Alex took a slow breath. Rachel. I want to be part of her life. The words were simple, but they carried everything. Regret. Hope. Fear. Rachel didn't answer right away. She just looked at him, trying to see if this man was still the same one she left behind, or someone new. And just as she was about to speak, Mia's voice came from the doorway. "Can Alex stay a little longer?" Both of them turned. She stood there quietly, watching them, waiting. And in that moment, the answer Rachel was about to give suddenly didn't belong to just her anymore. Rachel didn't answer right away. Her eyes moved from Mia to Alex, then back to Mia again. And something inside her shifted. Not completely. Not enough to trust. But enough to hesitate. "Mia, sweetheart, it's getting late," she said gently. "I know," Mia replied, stepping a little closer. "But just a little longer?" Her voice wasn't demanding. It was careful, hopeful, like she was asking for something she didn't expect to receive. Rachel exhaled slowly. That sound alone carried years of exhaustion. Not just physical. Emotional. The kind of tired that comes from doing everything alone, for too long. 5 minutes, she said finally. Mia's face lit up instantly. "Okay," she whispered, like it was more than enough. She walked further into the room, sitting down quietly, her eyes still moving between them. Watching, learning, feeling things she couldn't fully understand. Rachel turned back to Alex. "This doesn't change anything," she said softly. But her voice didn't hold the same firmness as before. "It changes everything," he replied. She didn't argue, because part of her knew he wasn't wrong. Alex looked toward Mia, then back at Rachel. "I'm not here to take anything from you," he said. "I'm not here to fix things with money or pretend the past didn't happen." Rachel crossed her arms slightly. "Then why are you here?" He paused. Not because he didn't have an answer, but because he needed her to hear it the right way. "I'm here because she's my daughter," he said quietly. Mia looked up at that. Her eyes widened slightly. Rachel's breath caught. But Alex didn't look away. "And I didn't know," he continued. "Not for a second. Not for a day. Not for 7 years." Rachel swallowed. "I know that," she said. "Then you also know I didn't get a choice," he added. The words weren't angry, but they carried something strong. Something real. Rachel's eyes flickered. Because that part, she couldn't deny. "I didn't have a choice either," she replied. Their voices stayed calm. But underneath, everything was colliding. "I was pregnant," she continued. "Alone. Scared. And the one person I needed wasn't there." Alex took that in. Didn't fight it. Didn't defend himself. Because this time, he understood. "I should have been," he said quietly. Rachel's expression softened. Just for a moment. Then she looked away again. "But you weren't," she whispered. Silence filled the space again. Not empty. Heavy. Full of things that couldn't be undone. Mia shifted slightly in her seat. "You're both sad," she said softly. Neither of them responded. Because she wasn't wrong. "Did something bad happen?" she asked. Rachel walked over to her slowly, kneeling down in front of her. "Just grown-up things," she said gently. "Things that happened a long time ago." Mia nodded, then looked at Alex. "Are you going to leave?" she asked. The question landed quietly, but it hit harder than anything else. Alex stepped closer. "No," he said. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just honest. "I'm not going anywhere tonight." Mia smiled a little. That small smile. It changed the room again. Rachel noticed it. Of course she did. She noticed everything when it came to Mia. And that's what made this harder. because for the first time, her daughter looked lighter, safer, and part of that was because of him. 5 minutes, Rachel reminded quietly, standing back up. But she didn't push him out. Not yet. Alex looked around again. This time, slower. He noticed more. The little drawings on the wall. The books stacked neatly. A small blanket folded carefully on the couch. Everything was simple, but everything had care in it. And suddenly, his world felt too big, too empty, compared to this. "How long have you been sick?" he asked softly. Rachel didn't answer immediately. "A while," she said. "What does that mean?" "It means I manage," she replied. That wasn't an answer, and they both knew it. "Mia said you get tired," he continued. Rachel gave a small, tired smile. "Mia says a lot of things. She also said you don't eat much." That made Rachel look at him again. Sharp. Protective. "We're fine," she said. Alex didn't argue. But he didn't look convinced either. "Mama, I saved you the sandwich," Mia said softly, holding it up again. Rachel's expression changed instantly. Soft. Warm. She took it gently. "Thank you, baby," she said. "You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to," Mia replied. Rachel looked at the sandwich for a moment, then back at her daughter. And in that moment, Alex saw it. The truth. The quiet sacrifices. The things Mia didn't say. The things Rachel pretended not to notice. "Did you eat enough?" Rachel asked. Mia nodded quickly. "Yeah." Alex made it. Rachel glanced at him. There was something in that look. Not trust. Not yet. But something less guarded. "He cooks now?" she said quietly. Alex let out a small breath. "Apparently. I do." Mia giggled softly. And for a second, it felt normal. Like this wasn't broken. Like this wasn't years too late. Just a moment. A small one. But real. Then Rachel looked at the clock. And the moment shifted again. "It's time," she said gently. Mia's smile faded a little. But she nodded. "Okay." She stood up slowly, then looked at Alex. "Will you come back?" The question was soft, careful, but full of hope. Alex didn't answer immediately, because this wasn't just about him. He looked at Rachel, waiting, asking without words. Rachel met his eyes, and for the first time since he walked in, she didn't look away. She just stood there, caught between the past and something that might still have a future. And after a long pause, she finally spoke. "We'll see," she said. But her voice was no longer closing the door. It was leaving it slightly open. Mia stood there quietly, waiting for something she couldn't fully name, but deeply felt. Alex held Rachel's gaze. And for the first time, he didn't see distance. He saw hesitation. And behind that hesitation, something still alive. "I'm not asking for everything at once," he said gently. "Just a chance." Rachel's fingers tightened slightly around the napkin holding the sandwich. A chance. 8 years ago, that word would have been easy. Now it carried weight. Fear. Risk. Hope. She looked at Mia, then back at Alex. And something inside her finally softened. "Tomorrow," she said quietly. "You can come by tomorrow." Mia's face lit up instantly. "Really?" Rachel nodded. "Really?" Mia smiled wide, then wrapped her arms around her mother. And in that small moment, something shifted. Not completely, but enough. The next day came slowly. Not because time moved slower, but because everything felt heavier. Important. Alex stood outside the building again. This time, not as a stranger, but not yet as something more. He knocked. The door opened quicker than before. Mia. She ran into him without hesitation. "You came," she said, like she needed to confirm it. "I said I would," he replied. Rachel stood behind her, watching, careful, but no longer closed off. "Come in," she said. The days that followed didn't change everything overnight. There were no miracles, no sudden perfection, just small moments, careful steps. Alex came back again, and again, sometimes with food, sometimes with nothing, just himself. He sat with Mia while she read. He listened to her stories. He learned the rhythm of their lives, not trying to control it, just trying to fit into it. Rachel watched all of it, every word, every gesture, waiting for something to feel wrong, waiting for him to fall back into the man he used to be. But he didn't. He stayed, and slowly, trust began to grow. Not loudly, not fast, but real. One evening, as the light faded through the window, Rachel sat across from him. "You're different," she said. Alex didn't smile. "I had to be," he replied. "For her?" she asked. "For both of you." Rachel studied him. Long. Careful. "And what happens when life gets busy again?" she asked. "When something more important comes along?" Alex shook his head slightly. "There is nothing more important." The answer came without hesitation, without doubt. And this time, she believed him. Not fully, but enough to let go of a piece of the past she had been holding onto. Weeks turned into months. Alex helped with things he never noticed before. Doctor visits, groceries, small repairs. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Rachel didn't ask for help, but she stopped refusing it. And Mia changed the most. She laughed more. She ate without saving half every time. She started asking for things, small things like kids should. And one night, as they sat together, Mia looked at Alex and said softly, "Can I call you something?" He smiled. "You can call me anything you want." She hesitated, just for a second, then said it. "Daddy." Everything stopped. Not in the room, not in the world, but inside him. Years of emptiness, of distance, of success without meaning. All of it broke in that one word. And for the first time in his life, Alex Sterling felt whole. Rachel watched it happen. She saw it in his eyes. The truth, the love, the change. And something inside her finally let go. Not of the past, but of the pain. She stepped closer. Not far. Just enough. "We'll figure this out," she said quietly. Alex nodded. "We will. Because this time, it wasn't about promises. It was about presence. Day by day. Choice by choice. They didn't become perfect. They became real. A family, not built on wealth, but on patience, on forgiveness, on showing up when it mattered. And slowly, everything that was broken began to heal. Because in the end, it wasn't the money that changed their lives. It wasn't the penthouse, or the expensive meals, or anything he thought defined success. It was a little girl, standing in the rain, asking for leftovers, and teaching a man what it truly means to give. Because sometimes, the poorest hands carry the richest hearts, and sometimes, love doesn't come from having everything. It comes from finally understanding what truly matters. If this story touched your heart, consider subscribing, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from?